there they were. You knew you were within a minute or two of home. You could start letting that post-trip decompression thing start to overtake you.
I like how it looks like the mountains are floating.
Yeah. I had a friend, a dear friend, who's passed away a number of years ago. His name was Dave Pedersen. He was the fellow that taught me that scripture was cool, and he had some very profound opinions that he graced me with over his lifetime, and a number of them I took a hold of and was very happy to call them my own. And one of them was, if you're a driver and you've been out there for a while, you ought not be with anybody else other than another driver for the first few hours that you're home. You either need to be alone or you need to be with another driver. Because that decompression period that you understand because you're a driver.
Yes.
I understand because I'm a driver. But that person right there in that little car, he has no idea what this decompression period is.
Right.
Because this has been a long, exciting trip for him. It hasn't been a week-long labor like it is for you and I. He doesn't feel the mortal responsibility that you and I do, knowing that every move we make determines when somebody around us lives or dies.
Exactly.
And the idea that they ought to be in a position to shoulder that kind of responsibility never occurs to them. So when you and I are out there, yes, there's a peace out there to find for sure. But when you come home, that decompression period can be the time where you tend to snap at people that are your loved ones. You're tired, you're overwhelmed, you're home, but it doesn't feel like home yet. Your body's still vibrating.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten anything to eat, and you're not sure that anything sounds good to eat. There's a period of a few hours, even maybe half a day, where you have to reacclimate to being home.
Yeah.
And my friend Dave maintained that you ought not be with anybody else but another driver during this period of time, because nobody else is going to understand you. Nobody else is going to help you over that hump and achieve home, Mani Padme, home. And I think he was right. There's your light.
John actually was pretty good about it. I pretty much told him, I'm kind of toxic when I come home. Give me a little time, and he was actually really good about it. That's pretty. But then here's the thing. So as I got a little more skilled at my job and the decompression period was a little lesser, he was still kind of giving me space, and I was like, hey, I want attention. So it's really hard for somebody normal to figure out what a trucker wants sometimes.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Like, are you this way or that?
We are a creature unto our own kind. We truly are.
Yeah, it makes you that way.
I don't regret being a trucker. I think being a long-haul trucker is one of the greatest blessings of my life.
I'm proud of the ability that I've been able to do, and you're a part of that. You really helped me a lot.
You hold 40 tons in your hand at speeds that other people wouldn't even imagine. You know what that little jerk on the wheel can do.
Lord have mercy, I know.
All that stuff. That's you've seen a nation. You know what California looks like. You know what the desert looks like.
Yep.
You know what Wyoming looks like, and North Dakota, how deserted and barren it is, and how the winds blow across there. You've seen the Georgia and Alabama and gotten out of the cab in Florida and just instantly turned your whole body into a sweaty mess because of the humidity. You've watched your windshield haze over with sweat from the air conditioner.
And by nighttime, be somewhere where you're iced over in sub-zero, same day, different time zone. I mean, I'm talking about the flexibility that our bodies have as truck drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Is man, it's borderline pushing the limits often.
You know,
I mean,
one of my favorite times in a truck is when you wake up in the morning and you don't know where you are.
that's like every time.
I love that. I absolutely adore it. I remember one time particularly, I was down on the Gulf Coast. I think I was in Alabama. I may have been in Mississippi. I may have been in Louisiana, but I was down in that Biloxi Gulf Coast area. And I had beat myself across the country once or twice already. And I was headed westbound on 10. And I think I don't recall exactly where I was going, but I was under the gun to get there. And I'd wound up driving through the Gulf Coast on 10 across some of those bayou bridges and whatnot in just this horrific downpour of a rainstorm in the dark where the windshield wipers can't possibly clear your windshield, and everything's kind of coming apart on you, and you don't trust any of the cars around you. And I've been on the road for so long that day that, you know what? I need a place to pull over, and I need it now. And lo and behold, here's this exit that comes up. And I don't even, you couldn't even read the sign. It's like, damn it, there's an exit. All right, I'm pulling off. And as I got off the road, swung around this big wide clover leaf. At the end of the clover leaf, before you actually got to the T in the road, there was a big, wide, open place to park. And there were palm trees around and a deep forest kind of thing. And I thought, okay, there were two or three little trucks there. This is a good place. I'll park here.
Sounds like it.
And I shut her down for the night. I had a nice Volvo 680 or 780. One with a big sleeper and the cafe seating in there.
Nice.
A big refrigerator. And I had a little dog with me whose name was Budrow. Budrow had an opinion about everything. He did. He had an opinion. It looks an awful lot like Jasper, just a little bit bigger. But he was very boisterous. He loved cattle trucks because of the creatures that were inside. and I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning. And there it was. I had no idea where I was. And for like 20 minutes, I looked out the window and yeah, okay, there's palm trees. There's that Gulf Coast stuff. But am I in Georgia? Am I in Florida? Am I in Texas? Where exactly am I? I didn't know. And my mind was so fuzzy from all the different places I've been in the last little while, I could not recall. And so I put Budrow on a leash, and we went walking into the forest. There was this trail, and the trail led, well, we must have walked back there at 3/4 of a mile. And what I came upon was a speakeasy in the woods.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it was an old cabin that was clearly a bar.
Wow.
That had been abandoned. But it was clearly a bar. It had a porch. It had, seating. It had 2 or 3 different entrances and exits. Horseshoe pits and stuff like that around it.
It's pretty remote, though.
Yes, it was very remote. There was no road going into it. There was a trail that could have supported a Jeep or a 4-wheeler or something like that, but that was it. We weren't going to drive the family station wagon back in there. and Bedrew and I, there was actually a power line, I remember, that went to it, and it was sagging in the trees. And Bedrew and I walked around this place for a good half hour, and we got so ensconced in what this discovery of this wonderful place, old mossy side trees, and and the building was covered in this old. I figured, okay, I'm in the Gulf. I'm in the Gulf somewhere, and we got all the way back to the truck. I'll bet you I spent maybe an hour and 15 to an hour and 30 minutes that morning not having a damn clue where I was for a real location. But it was one of the most happiest hours of my lifetime.
It was okay to forget for a minute.
I was okay.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where I was. It didn't matter.
That's right.
Wherever I was, I was going to get back out on that highway.
It's like your own little
read that first blue shield.
secret spot.
I was either going to turn around or keep on going.
Yeah.
And eventually I'd come across the city that I knew.
Yeah.
It was a simple solution that provided me no angst or discomfort. And the thought struck me. I'm at home in a continent. This is America, and this is my home. And every state is a different room, just much like Rainbow. And every room I'm welcome in.
Yeah.
And I'm in control.
That's right.
I get to go where I'm going to go, and I get to decide when I'm going to do it. And I get to decide when I'm going to stop and take a break. And if I even want to work that day or not. And maybe I'll just decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the day off and tell this receiver that he can go kiss my ass today. And just take the time off. Ooh, alligator. And I rarely did that in my career. I think I actually only did that maybe 3-4 times in a 40-year career. Said, screw it. You don't get it when you want it. You'll get it when I get there. I love being on time. I loved being on time when nobody else was on time.
Yeah.
Montana Brown through the winters in northern Montana. That was a matter of pride. We did that because nobody else had the guts to do it. And we were proud to have done it. But those mornings where you wake up and you don't know where you are. I can remember a time when I was brand new to trucking back in 1985, 1986. And the idea of where am I going to spend the night tonight?
Yeah.
Was just terrifying.
Yeah.
Where am I going to find a place to park this truck? Is it going to be safe? Am I going to be mugged? Where am I going to get something to eat? All these different questions are rolling up on you, and you find out you're in control. You've mastered it. At 1,000,000 miles, you've mastered it. There's nothing you haven't seen.
Well, I think that the scariest part is until you really get a feel for your size. Because, backing and going in small roads and getting in trouble when you're not confident of where your edges are, that's the freaky part. But once you're pretty confident with it, it's like, yeah, I can get in there, or I can wiggle out of it, or I can spin it around, But when you're not sure, that's, that's that panic mode.
I ran into a dock just the other day, probably 3 weeks ago, maybe last month. It was a book depository over there in Clearfield, and there was a truck in the dock, and the guy wanted me to back in next to him, and there wasn't enough room to get really squared away on that hole. And I'd been there plenty of times before, and knew they're going to put me right in that exact same hole, or they'll put me into, into this next one. But they're only going to unload one truck at a time. And I tried it a couple times, and just couldn't get it all lined up to the point where I could see what I needed to see.
Yeah.
In order to get that close to that guy, and go again, And I told him, how long have you been here? And he said, I've been sitting in the dock for about an hour. I think I've only got a couple pallets left. And it's like, it's not worth it. I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna pull out of the hole, spun around, parked. Even though I was under instructions to back into that other door.
Yeah.
And my reasoning was very simple.
Not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Because most incidences happen backing in docks and things like that.
Yeah, backing is one of the biggest. If you're going to screw up, it's probably going to happen backing. At this point in my career, I love the challenge of a hard back.
I don't.
Sure you do.
I don't. I'm like, keep it easy. I'll be happy.
Well, you're only a million miler.
I'm only a million.
Miler.
4 million miler. Yeah, that's true.
4.5.
Otherwise, you might get bored if it's too easy. Huh?
My dear friend Dennis Nizer, who passed away from COVID just a couple years back. Just a shame that he left us. One of the most wonderful guys I ever knew. He sat down and figured it out. We both lost count years and years ago. The last time I really knew for sure how many miles I'd driven was back, I don't know what year, but it was 3.75 million miles. And I documented it. I said, I'd gone back on my records and said, here's the year that I did 147,000. Here's the year that I did 168,000. Here's the year that I did 174,000. I lived in a truck.
Yeah.
And threw my logbooks away by the dozens. Okay? There was a time, and then the other thing that people look at those figures and they question me about them. I ran Montana. I ran from Salt Lake to Great Falls, Montana, via Missoula for decades. Okay? When I would do 740 miles in a day's run with 4 deliveries, sleep overnight or catch a couple hours sleep, turn around and be back in Salt Lake and do the exact same thing the next day. And I would do that 3 nights out of work, three trips one week, 2 trips the next. And sometimes I'd do it 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. So we didn't worry about being reloaded. Our reload was right there.
Yeah.
A couple blocks away. Either that or they brought us home empty because they needed the truck to go pick up that next Albertsons load and go. So my days, my 11,000 mile turnaround to Great Falls, or 1,100 mile turnaround, or whatever the route was, it was constant. It was a constant move. I didn't waste an awful lot of time in my career waiting for dispatch to find me a load. My environment was such that my stuff was lined up long before. We really didn't call dispatch for a reload. We unloaded our stores, the ones we had, and then we went to the grain mill, or we'd go to the sugar mill, or if they didn't have anything there, then we started heading home.
And you didn't have cell phones for a long time too, so you went to your customers, right?
Yeah.
Big game changer with cell phones and all that crap.
So my movement in a truck was steady all the time. The rarities were the long haul outfits that you'd get out you'd unload in Delaware, for example. And then you'd have to wait for somebody to find you a load in New Jersey that was going to load 2 or 3 days later. And that was the best they could do. That was the anomaly in trucking for me. I would run Montana for 4 or 5 years, And then I'd get tired of that and I'd go long haul and do that long haul thing for a year or two just to get Montana out of my system and the rest of America into it again. And then, go again. But my love was always Montana.